So I've got the three presenters here, and I'm just looking in the chat here. I'll quickly whip through, just in the interest of time, and maybe share a couple of the questions. First one for Awais. There was just a question about what instrument you use to take your samples, and I think that might be discussing maybe in Cairns and Melbourne, and that might be related to the crevice formers and the soft fouler's. Maybe you might be able to share a publication or something like that. You can
listen the slide here.
Just quickly, yeah.
I think the question, like how I took the samples. So what I understand, the question is about how I took the samples to the field and how I exposed them. The samples that we have prepared using hard and soft water analog, we just attach them to the PVC boards, which are then fixed to the aluminum racks. And these aluminum racks, then we exposed into the freely floating raft. This is an exposure raft on the top figure, and on the bottom photo, you can see the top view of those exposure rocks. So we just immersed the whole rack into the seawater, approximately 2 meters deep. And we leave it there for the time interval we need, for example, 7.5 months, 16 months, or whatever. And we pull them out, take the sample off, and bring them in. The other your Scott take, what I have done, how I manufactured those analogs. So this is another study. We have manufactured those multi-crevice shims, plastic shims, using laser cutting machine. We use the plastic sheets, cut them using laser cutting machine, these complex shapes, and we then attach them to the samples. And these are just the aquarium filters that you buy over the market, and you cut them into the rectangular shape. And they are used as the attachment. So we have published a paper on it in Materials Performance Journal. I don't have a link to that, unfortunately, but if you can find along the similar multiple crevice assembly shims using my name, Scott name, you can find that paper definitely in the Google. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you very much, Awais. My next question is for Sylvia, and it's related to a question here which is asking whether you've got any preliminary validation results comparing the model outputs with field observations. I'm guessing it might be early days, but I'm just wondering if you've got any comments on that.
Yes, during the joint industry project, we have 3 oil and gas partners, so we were able to preliminary validate the data. So we got 98% with the biofilm formation in the operators that have monitoring facilities. These biofilm studs or corrosion coupons that are normally installed on the facility. So 98% of the cases we were able to accurately predict. And with the MIC damage, this one is a more complex network because it involves more parameters. With that one, we got 95% accuracy. So with the new project, what we are aiming is to collect more data from these oil and gas facilities and increase the database, which will help us to increase the accuracy of the model. So having more data will help us to increase the accuracy of the second model.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And yeah, it's complex trying to put those models together. So I wish you all the best of that, and I'll be definitely keeping an eye on that work. The last question I've got here is for Guanming, and it's about, have you ever considered the role of biological mineralization protection in the tidal zones of the oceans in protecting the steel rebar in concrete? I might need to read that out again.
Yeah, I didn't quite get the question.
Yeah, so it's about trying to protect the rebar, so the steel rebar in concrete, and whether you've looked at the biological mineralization to try and prevent that. So I suppose it's, yeah.
Yeah, I guess for when we say concrete corrosion, it's quite different from conventional. It's more about the rebar corrosion. But here we are looking at the cementitious material. And for the problem, what we are looking at, basically, once the concrete cover is gone, then the rebar exposed, then you will needs at that stage, definitely we cannot go on. So we need to do rehabilitation. But whether at that stage we can do what mineral kind of precipitation, there's kind of some I think usually what currently industry is doing is coating. They can be epoxy, some cementitious coating or other composites. Some just like with a biological process, I think currently we are looking at that. Actually, I have one research kind of proposal is looking at that to using the microorganisms to enhance the effectiveness, because the conventional rehabilitation with the coating, they have lots of problem is the compatibility of the different types of material. So there is usually like a delamination of the coating and other issues. So yeah, so with how we can enhance that using the microbial process, I think that can be one idea we will look into that.
That's great. Thank you very much. Just a couple of quick questions. I'm conscious of time. There's a question here about, is there a weight gain after MIC on copper nickel? That should be a pretty quick.
No, there's no weight gain. We actually see the weight loss. Like the weight loss is pretty uniform across the different samples. It is not gap dependent, but we definitely see the crevice.
It's typically localized attack,
Yeah.
right? So there's usually a weight loss. And Sylvia, just one last one for you. Just in terms of your model, there's a question here about, are you particularly interested in external MIC or internal MIC?
Yes, internal.
Yeah, so it's the internal. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Look, I'm conscious of time and not wanting to, I suppose, go for too long, but I've got a couple of slides just to quickly finish up with. And I will just bear with me for a second while I get these on the screen. So I want to thank in particular the IBBS team, especially Andrea and Judith, who actually put this, I suppose, the idea of the webinars together. And this is the first one, so just bear with us. I'm sure there's things will improve as we go along with doing this process. I'd also like to thank the webinar co-hosts, Addie and Michaela, who've been working in the background to keep track of things and make sure everything goes smoothly. Of course, the speakers, really great presentations. I didn't give them long, okay? I'm sure they could each have talked for at least an hour easily on each of the individual topics they were talking about. So I really appreciate them in terms of putting the slides together and making their time and just providing a bit of a snapshot of some of the research they're doing in terms of microbial corrosion. And thank you for all attending. Of course, it would be great. I mean, we could easily, all of us, the speakers, could talk for hours on this topic just amongst ourselves. But of course, it's great if we've got other people that are actually presenting too. So as we mentioned, this is just the first of a number of webinars that we'll actually be running. So please keep your eyes out for other upcoming webinars. And if you haven't already, consider joining IBBS. In terms, you can see there's a link there. It's only £50 a year. We're going to be recording these webinars and actually making them available. So, but that'll only be available to members. All right. So look, I'm going to finish it up there, but I really appreciate everyone's time and efforts today. And I hope you have a great evening for all of us in Australia, and I suppose a great rest of the day for any of you in Europe. Okay. All right. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.